It was 1952 when a device by the humble name of Mike left a 6,000-foot wide crater where an island used to be. It marked the dawning of a new era for mankind.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
For the first time, humanity possesses the ability to destroy itself. We could only hope we had wisdom not to. It was an era where mutually assured destruction was the only thing keeping us alive as a species. An uncomfortable geopolitical reality for those unaccustomed to it. For fighters, mutually assured destruction is a way of life. The only thing keeping a boxer in a fight is the ability to hit back. The best heavyweights in the post-war world only got that way by learning to love the bomb. Jersey Joe Walcott was a teenager when his father died. He was now the man of the house, with 11 younger siblings to take care of in the middle of the Great Depression. He drops out of school and goes to work. His days spent in the factory weren't feeding everyone, so he took to moonlighting as a prize fighter. In those early years of his boxing career, not even that was enough. Joe went into more than a few fights with a rumbling stomach, and it showed on his record. Things turned around when Joe got the financial backing to train full-time with a full stomach. He grew into a true contender. It took Jersey Joe Walcott 17 years to get his first title shot. It came against the great Joe Louis. The Brown Bomber was the heavyweight champion for 12 years when Walcott got his shot at him. Walcott scored a pair of knockdowns early. Louis found his feet and started winning rounds. When the cards are read, Louis takes a controversial win not even he was happy about.
Still the heavyweight champion of the world, Joe Louis.
The immediate rematch was held.
As Louis comes to the ring, the entire sports world is wondering, can Walcott beat the Brown Bombers' second time around jinx? Will Joe Louis retire undefeated, or will there be a new champion?
Once again, Walcott won most of the fight, knocked down Joe again. But all Joe Louis ever needed was one. Louis would retire and vacate immediately after. Joe Walcott and Ezra Charles were selected by Louis himself to fight for his laid-down title.
I think it would be more dramatic if the new champion was whacking away at his short ribs. No damage done, no.
While Jersey Joe hoped the third time would be the charm, it wasn't meant to be. Joe gave a valiant effort, but the ever-crafty Ezzard was ready. Charles came out the close victor. Walcott kept his eyes on the prize. Walcott knocked out 5 more big men and fought his way into his 4th title shot. This time was even more excruciating. While another 15-round chess match between 2 of the technical masters. Ezzard Charles's knockdown is likely all that kept him his championship. The crowd booed the decision. Given the even nature of the contests and the fact that Joe Walcott had knocked out the rest of the division, he was given the trilogy despite 2 official losses.
That was a glancing blow, but you could rebel for round 2 by probing with his left. Now what?
It took Jersey Joe 37 years and 37 rounds with Ezzard Charles.
Before the champion ties him up for Ezzard's glancing left to the face. That hook was partially blocked.
It took him 5 shots at the title.
Then a left in the best slugging match of the fight so far. Walcott comes in with a left-right combination, but his right was a bit short of the scheduled 15-round bout for the world's heavyweight crown. He's him into the corner with a hard right. Charles is trying to...
It took 1 slip jab and the prettiest counter left hook in heavyweight history. But Joe Walcott was now the newest and oldest heavyweight champion.
Heavyweight champion of the world in one of the most stunning upsets of ring history.
A record he immediately broke as he beat Charles once more, cementing his grip on the championship.
Jersey Joe Walcott, still champion of the world.
Jersey Joe would enjoy his time on top as an old champion in a young man's game. Every champion must lose, either to Father Time, or a better fighter, or a bit of both. Born in Brockton, Mass., Rocky Marciano spent World War II running supplies between the UK and Normandy, returned after the war determined to become an athlete. He played just about every sport, from wrestling to baseball, but it wasn't until his time in the Army that he took up boxing. When he got back to the States, he found himself in the gym of legend Charlie Goldman. Goldman knew having fighters, having fought hundreds of times himself. He got his first look at Marciano, and he didn't think much of his new prospect. He stood just 5 feet 10 inches and barely cracked 200 pounds on a fat day, which meant too big for light heavyweight, but too small for the big men. What Rocky did have, he had in spades: a relentless work ethic. His commitment to conditioning is legendary. He had a right hand like a particle accelerator. Famously known by the nickname of Susie Q. Rocky perfected the Italian art of talking with his hands. He fought like a Cro-Magnon, locked in a closet, fed only amphetamines and raw sugar before they let him loose to bludgeon prey in the ring. He was vicious, brutal, and utterly unstoppable. Rocky was there to be hit far less than it looks. His crouch opened counters. His feinting opened opportunities. His ring cutting created a constant sense of drowning panic. His biggest and saddest win was a violent knockout of the shambling corpse of Joe Louis, dragged out of retirement by the IRS.
In the opening seconds of round one, Marciano, by far the lighter man, is pressuring Louis. But at the end of round one, it's a good Marciano. Look to the head. He's pressuring, gunning for a shot at the heavyweight tonight. Win or lose, he collects $94,000, a big hunk of which goes to Uncle Sam for back taxes. Louis moving a little better in this one. He's missing a great deal. Might succeed in outboxing. Louis lands a left jab, followed by a flat footing. The elasticity gone. Here comes another right. Rocky hook. Throwing fewer punches than Marciano. Because he generates terrific power that punch, that's the one in. Another left crumples Louis. A blazing right. And Louis sails through the ropes.
Rocky put the aged great through the ropes and out of the fight game for good, which was probably for the best. A few more knockouts later, and Rocky found himself in a title eliminator against Harry Matthews for a crack at Jersey Joe's crown.
Round one. 41 fights with 36 knockouts. Matthews from the West piling up points in round one. For more. Seeking to end it with one. Let's go, Buck.
By round two, Rocky had picked his punch. Rocky was so right, he landed the left twice.
There it is. And down goes Matthews. Will he beat the count? He struggles game.
It was September of 1952. The site chosen was Yankee Stadium. Walcott wasted no time taking it to his challenger. He lands a nearly identical left hook that finally leveled Ezzard. The same squared-up footwork draws the same jab. While Walcott slipped to level Ezzard, he rocks Rocky as he steps into jab. What sent Charles pinballing around the ring sat Marciano down too, but it was not the end of this fight. It was barely the beginning. The initial splitting of an atom that begins one of the most violent chain reactions in boxing history. That this position you see Rocky constantly grinding his way into, his forehead ducked down and shoulders shrugged up, it's all he wants. When Rocky can get there, all his disadvantages turn in his favor. This position is Rocky's A game. Joe Walcott did all he could to avoid it. Jersey Joe made his name on skills and experience and graceful unorthodoxy. He held his own on the inside with his stumpy opponent. Joe kept rolling Rocky's wide power punches off his shoulders. He rolled and slipped and weaved and countered with the fine style of a craftsman lost in his life's work. Rocky kept coming with single-minded determination and endless volume. The fight grew into a violent war, a war that Joe Walcott was winning on every card. It took Susie Q 13 seconds to reach her supercritical mass. Rocky still had to get into range to get her on target. He cut the ring using his left hook. He hangs that left in Joe's face. He feels the ropes on his back. Joe decides to plant his feet to fire a right as Susie Q finally detonates. Jersey Joe's face fused to the floor like a shadow burned into a wall in Hiroshima. A rematch was held.
No rabbit punching, no.
It was a short second run-in with Susie Q that finally convinced Jersey Joe to hang him up after 23 years. Joe would go on to decide being a referee wasn't for him after being the third man in the ring for Ali's Phantom Punch. He starred alongside Humphrey Bogart in Harder They Fall before getting elected the first black sheriff of Camden. Rocky, well, that's theirs one, the only undefeated heavyweight champion in history. Today, both men stand cast in rippling bronze, forever in fighting shape, monuments to mutually assured destruction.